Welcome to the Everyday PM podcast, the podcast where we discuss project management principles for your everyday life. My name is Campea, and I'm a certified project/program manager with a decade of experience working for healthcare, retail, consumer goods, and tech industries. I am so excited to welcome Jason Sweeting, who he is just exuberant, but you'll find out during the interview that energy that comes from him. He's also known as Jay the Trader. He's very serious about trading. He's worked hard, studied the market. He has countless thousands of hours of just being immersed in trading. His knowledge that he has, he's shared with many, many people, obviously himself, but many others, helping them to gain control of their financial life. Jason, I mean, I can go on and on. You've got market proficiencies that include 30-year bond market and S&P 500 futures. You've worked many hours to get to where you are at today and find yourself in kind of a very nice place in the trading business. And you find joy sharing that with others. So today our topic is really going to dig into who you are, your background, but really that part of it, which is the coaching and the mentoring and kind of the paying forward of it. So Jason, welcome to the Everyday PM podcast. For those who have not met you yet, please take a brief moment to introduce yourself.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that, Ann. And thank you, everybody that is listening and watching. I'm so humbled by this opportunity, first and foremost. A little bit about me. The short version is I care. Maybe everybody else doesn't, but I do, and the only thing that makes that true is time. So maybe you're skeptical, but keep on hanging out. You'll find it's true. I just care about people. The long version is I was a broke musician. I was really good, but I was really broke, And man, I would start in on a crowd. I would go to 4 flat, so that would be like A flat, and I would start kind of right there, and it would be like, what would you do if I sang out of tune? Would you stand up and walk out on me? And I would go for hours, man. I would start at 9 and wouldn't get up from the piano until 2, 3 in the morning, just singing all your favorite songs. And after I made everybody happy, I would have a tip jar that was full, maybe $500-600, and I would get paid my little cut from the house or whatever. And I go home with $750 after working for a little while. But something happened to me, and what happened was I realized, man, this is not going to be enough. Life has a funny way. Tires explode, and you got to buy new brake pads, and then people have, your kids are smart, so they have to go on smart kid field trips and stuff like that. And I just realized that my income wasn't doing it. And so I was on my way to Atlanta one day. And when I got there, a friend of mine wanted to play some golf. And I said, cool, let's go play. I'll swing by and pick you up. So I went by his apartment to pick him up. And when I went inside, he was brushing his teeth. And on his computer, I saw what at the time I called, what are those squiggly lines? That was my question. I said, what are those squiggly lines? He said, oh man, I'm trading. And he brushed his teeth, and we got in the car and we headed off to go play some golf. And he said, yeah, either I'm going to make $5,000 today or $1,700. But either way, it's fine. Let's just go play now. I don't feel like watching it anymore. That's what he said. I don't feel like watching it. I said, man, I have to play a lot of songs to make $5,000. So somebody, and then I don't know how you get so cool about 5,000 or 1,700. You got to tell me about this. And the friend, he wasn't the kind of spoon feed. He said, hey, it's called a bond market. I day traded. So if you ever heard of day trading and you ever heard of bonds, that's what I'm doing. He gave me a book called Beating the Dow with the Bonds. And that was all I needed. And from there, I just started failing until I started succeeding.
And let's talk about that a little bit, because it sounds like you had a close friend that was willing to educate you and bring you into the space that he was doing well in. Was that scary for you? Were you excited about that? And how was he as a mentor figure for you in that journey?
Well, he was a friend, but he wasn't much of a mentor. He was the type of guy, the uncle that says, oh, we'll teach these kids how to swim. And the uncle grabs the kid and throws him in the deep end.
Yeah.
He's that uncle.
That's what happened?
What I'm saying? Got it. It's like either he's going to swim or drown, but either way, he'll get it. And he wasn't very much of a mentor, but he was a friend. Because I believe that if someone's willing to put you in a position where even the opportunity of excellence or the opportunity of moving forward or progression is there, then I believe you do have a friend. So I do appreciate the fact that he did that. But my mentorship came with failing. I'll be honest.
Okay.
I read books and I failed, and I got into the market and failed some more. Did I mention I failed a lot? Yeah, I failed a whole bunch. And I was able in my failing to kind of devise some rules that I trade by. And after failing, I began to succeed, and then more success and more success. And truthfully, it's a pretty easy concept these days. And so I like to think of it in your terms, like, because I know it's about project management, but if you're going to take on a business, it's taking on a project. You know, whether it's folding clothes or frying chicken or starting a business, you know, you have steps that you must hit, and some steps that if you don't hit them, everything's going to crumble. And you have some spaces where you can put your own personal flair into things, you know. So I think that was the crux of it for me. It was about me finding my own flair, and then being able to offer that to the marketplace that really jettisoned me to the next level.
And there's so much synergy in what you just said about what the journey you made and project management and program management. And I think I bring on a lot of guests here, and sometimes it's very obvious what their topic is or what their connection is to project management. In this case, you know, you and I had a conversation, and as you were talking through this exact story, I thought there's so much synergy there. And the first point being failing and learning from those failures. Very much in project management, as a new project manager, you have to expect to fail a lot before you get better. And that's how we all grow as project managers, is we learn from those experiences. We learn from Jason, who's done it, and you tell me your experiences, and I listen to you and learn from your experiences. There's a lot of sharing of these failures between our colleagues, right? That has to go on. And it sounds like you had to do a lot of that yourself. Obviously, you said failure like 50 times. So definitely had to do a lot of that yourself in order to get to where you are today. And I had to ask you this, you know, failing is hard for some people, Jason. You know, it really is. Your confidence takes a hit, your self-esteem. It could be a number of things that go on mentally, even emotionally, as you encounter these failures. How did you get through that? How did you stay motivated and determined to be successful at trading?
I don't think you can ever get through failing. I don't think that you get through it. It never leaves, right?
Yeah.
Like, we still remember the one that got away. You can remember the boy or girl that told you no for the high school prom right now. If you're listening right now, you can remember that person.
I'm crying right now. No,
you might
have
gotten all of the yeses, but that one you can remember. And that's the way life is. But I believe that we have to reframe failure. It's not a point to get upset, or not a point to get to, like, it's not to get down. And I think for me, the way that I frame it in order to proceed is to realize that it'll never stop. The moment I stop failing is the moment I've stopped trying.
Got it.
What I like to tell my students is this, and we can do this exercise. Are you ready to do a cool exercise?
Okay, let's do it. I'm ready.
Here we go. Here's the exercise. How old were you when you first learned to walk?
Oh gosh, one maybe.
Were you like a year and a half?
I'm sure, yeah.
Let's go 1. Okay, and you've been walking since then. Like, you never taken a break, have you? Okay, good. Now here's my next question. Have you recently tripped or stumbled in the last year and a half?
Well, how do you define that? Like physically or in other
maybe
things?
There's a crack in the sidewalk. So
yeah, of
maybe
course.
There's a crack in the sidewalk, so you stumbled. Let me ask you, did you stop walking because you stumbled?
No.
Good. And that is life. For me, we learn to be. As we go about time being what we are, we can expect to stumble. We don't, because we stumble, we don't stop being what we are. We just keep on going, realizing that stumbling is a part of the package. Failing is a part of the package of success. It's impossible to open the box of success without tearing off the wrapping paper of failure. And from box to lower box to smaller box to smaller box, and I guess it's a holiday metaphor because God knows I love Christmas, but you cannot get done getting to success without unwrapping the failure that wraps it, and that's just a part of life. You just got to appreciate it. You got to get the prettiest failures you can, that's it. That's life.
I love that. I love that. So we should never stop failing, even in project management, for example. I think to your point, you then become complacent, and maybe then it's not time to do project management or trading or whatever business you're in at that point. Maybe it's time to switch it up. So I wanted to go through a quote. I share a quote with you that I heard the other day and get your thoughts on it, because somebody told me that it's important to remember, because I want to get into the business side of Jason, right? Because you have the business side and you have kind of the coaching, mentoring side of it. But I heard this quote that was, companies are not given a second chance to be better at their services. I heard this quote from you, which I thought was so great to hear. So, as project managers, we have an important role in that. We're always in this place where we don't have people report to us, but we have to get them to provide quality work against the projects we're executing, right? So I think to your point, in this quote that you told me the other day, which I thought was so brilliant, is we only have that first chance with our stakeholders to make that first impression. And after that, if you make a bad first impression, how are you to then ask them for something later on to contribute to the project and expect them to give it to you in like the utmost quality and whatever? But my point is that even in project management, that's a really important quote. And then now you're talking about in business, how critical that is for your business and other businesses to be successful. So can you talk a little bit more about that?
Well, I love the fact that you quoted that guy. He's crazy, forget about him. No, but the truth is, Ann, and everybody that's listening, I want you to understand that you're always in an interview. You're always auditioning. What I've learned from being a musician, okay, let's put it like this, from being a musician, you've realized that the show really starts when you get off the stage. That's when the show begins. The show truly begins then, because people love your music, but don't be a bad person because they'll clump you with your art. Have you ever heard the story of the kid that went to get the autograph from their hero artist, and the hero artist was a jerk, and now the kid hates the music? Well, the kid doesn't hate the music. The kid hated the experience. The music was always good, right? And I think as companies, we don't realize, and as project managers, we don't realize that what we're doing is always interviewing when we're around the people who are to consume what it is that we produce. Like, you can have I like to say this, ask a lady to marry you. She says yes, great. Tell her that you have a ring for her. Tell her it's the biggest diamond in the world. She'll be happy. Tell her then, in order to get it, it's at the bottom of a cesspool. No longer does she care about the diamond because you put the diamond in a place where she doesn't want to risk getting it. And that's what we have to understand. Our projects, they might be beautiful, but we have to not just let them be beautiful, but we have to present them beautifully. We have to put them in the place where our customers or consumers can get them, and can get them with ease, and they're happy to do it. I think that when people buy into your product or project or trade or company, because every day I'm the guy telling people when to buy or sell, they buy into it because you have built the trust with them for them to believe your word. That's what people consume. Don't for a moment think that someone cares about your website. They care about your integrity, your ability to deliver, and the fact that if you deliver, you want to deliver as high a value as you can. And if you can't, you're honest with them by telling them that you can't. I think when people know that you're that kind of person, man, when they know that you're that kind of person, they'll buy what you're selling. They'll buy presents for your kids. When you cry, they'll cry along with you. When you celebrate, they'll be happy for you. Man, you've won someone over, because you're not just dealing in transactional benefits. You're dealing in integrity, in honor, in doing people right. You're operating at a higher level than business. You're operating at a spiritual place where you're behaving in a karmic way. You want to give out good, and then good will come to you.
Yeah.
And that's really the essence for me. That's that first impression. Give people your best. Give people your best every day. Hey, maybe your best is a yes. Maybe your best is a I can't do it today. But give them your best, because they'll never forget that. They'll never forget it. And they'll always come back to the person that did them right.
Absolutely. And that's the mentality, or at least that's the perspective I've had of project managers that I'm in awe of, right? People that I go back to and say, hey, if I can be better, that person's the perfect example of somebody who, to your point, led with integrity. They were completely transparent and honest with their stakeholders. If they put everything into their projects, and even if the project failed, they were still highly regarded for putting their best effort into what they did. So thank you for kind of going through that, because I think, again, there's synergy across everything that you're saying and what we do as project managers. And I think there's two other areas I wanted to ask you about, which I think there is very good synergy here, which is number one, for project managers, and you tell me, Jason, if this is the same for you, we always have to explain what we do. People do not understand the role of a project manager. Often it's, okay, well, are you managing people? And sometimes there are project managers who do, but more often they don't. That's one question. That's kind of one area where I think there might be synergy here, because if I saw bond trader, I am definitely not fluent at all in what you do, but I know we have synergy, at least across what we like, the philosophies of what we do. The other area I would say is that there's synergy is risk. In projects, projects are always a risk. Let's just put it like that. Every project is a risk. You're taking a risk to make a change for your company, for the better or for the worse. But you're taking a big risk. So some companies have a big risk appetite. They're super hungry for it. Other companies don't. And as a project manager, you find yourself in an environment where you have to quickly understand which of those sides of the coin your company falls into, because it's there where if you have a company that's very risk adverse, you might not be able to get everything done all the change you would want to get done that you would think would make the company better, because they're scared, right? Whereas you have a company who's like, yeah, let's do it. I'd rather try, fail, try again. And that's really where, some of the best projects come out of, the best experiences come out of, because you have a business and a culture that supports you as a project manager for the changes you want to make. So that was a long-winded way to say, Jason, do you have any thoughts on when somebody comes up to you and asks you, what do you do for a living? And you have to explain it every single time. And the other piece of that is, I imagine your business is built on so much risk. And I want to get your perspective on, how do you perceive that? How do you make sure you're still successful amongst all the risks that you're surrounded by?
I'm so glad you asked. This is a great question for not just project managers, but business people and people who just, if you're breathing and walking, there's something that like a saying that says the jig is up. Have you ever heard this before? Like somebody say, oh, they've got us, the jig is up.
Sure.
There is a magic in knowing the moment when something no longer is viable. There's a magic, and there's a magic to creating that moment, manufacturing it. Do you remember on a Friday night in America, you would go into this big warehouse store, and from it, you would see families all around buying these boxes of tapes? Do you remember this? And it was called Blockbuster.
Oh,
and we would go in, for everyone who was born recently, this is what America used to do on a Friday night. You would go to a Blockbuster that was usually right next to a pizza shop, and you would order your pizza. While it's getting made, you would go to the Blockbuster and you would rent videos. And you would rent those videos, then get the pizza, you would take it home, and then you could play the video while you ate your pizza. And that was Friday night in America for decades. That was the project. The project was Blockbuster Videos.
Right.
Up pops this thing called Netflix. Up pops this thing, this new project, and it replaces the previous project. Or maybe you know about this company, little company called Sony. Now, Sony, they're responsible for the Walkman. The Walkman now, the Walkman. People would have their tape player and their headset on, and they would be playing a cassette tape and running around the streets of New York or Miami, exercising as they take their music on the go. But here comes this other little company called Apple, and they create this thing called the MP3 player, the iPod. What I've just described to you was two examples, two projects where someone had a good one and someone came along with a better one. The sad thing that happens with project managers is that we don't know when the jig is up. Okay. Yeah. Every time I go outside, parenthetically, let's just put it like this. When someone asks me what I do, I don't tell them I'm a bond trader because it's just too much to explain. I just say I'm a teacher. And people often wonder, well, what kind of teacher are you that you can fly here, live here, vacation here, or play golf there? Or why does a teacher have this many people with them? Or why does a teacher need a film crew? Right. And then I have to tell them, well, I teach people how to trade the markets. And then everybody then says, oh, yeah, I trade too. And then I'm like, great job, you know? So that's parenthetically. But project management, knowing when the jig is up and manufacturing that moment. What I want project managers to understand is that your project will die. It can be the greatest one in the world. You remember how great MySpace was?
Oh, yeah.
It was amazing. What about Black Planet? Black Planet. Anybody remember that? Anybody still got a Black Planet page? No, because somebody came and beat that. The problem with project managers is we think that ours is the last of its kind. What you have to do is learn to compete with yourself. After your project gets done, find out a way to make it obsolete. And that's what's helped me in my business. In my business, I'm a trader, right? So I buy low, sell high, or sell high, buy low. I'm in and out of the market basically each and every day. I use something called contracts and margin in my account in order to use money to go make money. Just think about it like that. Every time I get into a trade, I have an entry, I have a target, and I have something we call a stop loss. If the market goes to my stop loss, it is a place where the market should not go if the market is believing what I believe. As a project manager, just like as a trader, you have a belief when you start. As you continue with the project, the market could go in your favor 50 billion ticks. If it doesn't hit your target, you're not out of the trade. Listen to me very well, everybody, because this is on YouTube or like it's video and audio, or is it just audio?
Oh yeah, we see you.
Hey everybody, listen to me real good. Okay, so I'm Jay. I'm here to help you. Right? When you get into the market, somebody's going to tell you you want to invest. I don't care if you're an investor or a trader. What you're looking to do is put money in at some point and get money out more than you put in at a later time. Okay, that's the basics of it. It's like what people don't understand is there's this tool that we can use called a stop loss. So if you've ever heard of things like Black Monday, it's when everybody lost all of their money, but they only lost their money because they never told the market, if I get this far down in money, just take me out because I must be wrong. Right. A trade is often like a project. Do you understand? When I get into the market, I might have a bias. The bias might be that the market will rise. If I click the button that says buy, then as the market rises, I will profit. When I am in that trade, not only do I get in, but I am attentive as the trade is going to where I believe that it'll go. Because let me tell you something about the market and business and life. Anything can happen. When you're in this trade, just like you're in a project, you have to use a third tool, not just an entry and not just a target. I don't want to buy the market at $1 and get it up to $3, right? I have to also use one more tool. That tool is called a stop loss. That is a line that if the market comes to this price, then what I thought was wrong. And I have to be cool enough to say, the jig is up. I made a mistake. What I thought was wrong. Project managers, hear me out and hear me very well, because I've developed I'm in the middle of developing 3 projects right now, and I've developed like 5 or 6 before then. What she hasn't told you is I was on Shark Tank season 17. I started a company with my wife. We did a deal with Damon. We raised money.
Amazing.
I've done Kickstarters as projects. We did $85,000 in a month with a dog company. All of these sort of projects, and all of that is cool. I had apps in the App Store. Hey, man, I got married. What a project. I had kids. What a project. All these projects. But you have to know when the jig is up. Okay? You have to use that last tool. Now, here's something I want to tell you. The last thing I want to tell you about project management is the saddest part about the Sony Walkman is that they let Apple make the MP3 player. A company that was all about taking music on a mobile adventure missed out on the greatest digital change in the world. Not only that, Wayne Huizenga with Blockbuster Video failed. Exactly. Look at it. It doesn't say Sony. Wayne Huizenga, who had everybody coming to his shop all the time to rent video, never realized that he should kill his own company with innovation. When you make that project and it's a blazing success and you're standing in front of so many and you're giving your acceptance speech and you're grateful and don't lose me here. Hey, pay attention. I know that you're checking your phone. Stop checking your phone. Listen to Ann because she has a great guest on. I'm trying to help you with something. Listen to me really, really good here. I want you to realize that you're the person that should take your company out.
Yeah.
So Jay, what do you mean? How are you doing it? Well, let me tell you, when I started my company, it was just me trading. Now I developed my own set of indicators. This is software that traders can use in order to find out what the market might do later. Also, I'm developing my own auto trader because I don't have to sit up every day in the market and tell people where to buy or sell. If I can just create a software that can do it, then the people can use the software. And now my success isn't limited by my own time and freedom, right? We always have to find a way to innovate ourselves out of the way, innovate our problems out of the way, and greater serve the people who trust us with their resources to do it. Listen to me. Amazing. This is the best key. We don't make products so that we can be cool. We make products to help people. And there's always a better way to help people. There's a better way. I mean, the shirt is cool, but what about the blouse? And the blouse is cool, but what about the tank top? And the tank top will work, but what if it's cold? And the jacket, and what about there's always a better way. And man, I love the cuff, but what about fur on the cuff? What about buttons that, zip and snap? Like, there's always a better way. And it's your job, innovator, project manager, person at the company, to scream from the mountaintops that making $1 million a week at your company is great, but you have a project that can make them $2 million a day. You have to scream it. It's your responsibility.
Yeah. Jason, I feel like you brought us through your mentoring academy just in that whole speech right there. I learned a lot. I actually think I need to be honest, I need to play that for myself when this podcast is up every morning, just as a source of motivation. No, but there's so much in that you said in terms of, in understanding when it's, project managers have to realize, to your point, that projects end. And sometimes, I've been in projects where you're so invested, your heart and soul is in it. You're trying so hard for the train not to fall off the tracks. And you're watching it happen, but yet you don't want to let go. So I've seen project managers fall. They're sitting in the caboose and they're falling down as a train is falling off the track. And I think like ultimately what you're telling us is you got to always be aware and better about what you are doing. And even in our projects, there's always going to be, which is why we have projects upon projects, is that, you may have created one change which helped the company, but guess what? That's not the only change that needs to happen. There's always going to be more and more. There's always going to be more and more. So I think that was amazing.
I think it's so important that what we do as project managers, you and I, because I consider myself one as well. I think what we have to do is depersonify the project. The reason it's hard to let it go is because it is us to some degree. Like we often refer to our projects as our baby, or this is my thing, or man, I've dreamt about this, right? And we have to depersonify. Like, you are not your successes and you are not your failures. Okay. Hey, everybody. Hey, you might have projects that make 5 mil. You might make projects that lose you 20. Guess what? You're still a good person. I love you and loves you. You know, like, you're great. It's okay. Maybe the last one just failed. Maybe you're listening to this right now and the last project just went belly up. You raised 5 mil. You thought it was going to be great. The ground underneath you changed. The ocean went from nice and blue to red. And the next thing you know, you're the smallest fish in the pond and you got 8 alive. I get it. Guess what? Get up, dust your shoulders off, dust yourself off, and go do it again, because you're not your failures and you're not your successes. You're not your gift. Depersonify your projects. They are things that you work on. There was an interview with Dr. Dre, and people talked about his writing process. And one thing that he shared that was the shock of my life. He said, I don't fall in love with any of my songs. Like, people might love them. I don't love them. They're just things. They're things I make up. Can you imagine having a thing that'll make you $50 million over a lifetime and not loving it at all? I think we have to place things where they go. So many people fall in love with their songs, and then when the crowd doesn't clap, they say, well, I'm not a great artist. No, you're a great artist. You just wrote a song that this crowd won't clap to this night. It's all good. Keep writing songs. Keep doing your thing. You know, and it's just like that. Hey, project manager, keep doing your thing. I know the metaverse is coming. Who cares? Keep doing your thing. I know that people are buying NFTs and you don't understand why a little picture of a fox could make $450,000 in a month, but keep on going, because it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, it's about being. It's not about tripping. It's about walking. And you're going to trip along the way. Just keep walking.
Jason, I mean, this has been incredible. I think I could speak to you all day. I think in this conversation, you've taught us all how to dream again, which I know is another thing that I heard from you the other day as well. And I think that will do it for us in this installment of the Everyday PM podcast. Is there anything else you want to kind of leave with the audience as words of wisdom?
I want to leave this. I want to leave thanks. Okay. Like, thank you for listening. All right. Like, listen, like, you're a good person and you have lots of stuff you could be doing, but here you are listening to me. God bless you for doing that. And then, you know, you're with Ann. This is what I want you to understand. If you're not already, hit the subscribe button on your podcast player of choice, right? Because here's somebody who's willing to do the work to vet people. Yo, I had to like audition to be on this show. It's like a real thing. Like, so she's vetting people she had questions, like, you know, it's a real thing. She has a heart to help. You see, like, I live by 2 words. They are grow and serve, right? I want to grow. I want to grow my ability, my understanding, my intelligence, I want to grow. And then when I grow, I want to just grow so big, it's amazing. And then right after that, I want to serve. You see, like, what good is a bigger barn if your neighbors are hungry? That's not the time to build a bigger barn. That's the time to, in my faith, what we believe is that you sow in squares, but you reap in circles. You understand? You leave some for people who might not have had a good bumper crop this year.
Yeah.
And what we have to do is realize that it is incumbent upon us to serve the people around us. There is no greater pleasure in life. You're talking to a guy that's, you know, lost $8,000 by 11 o'clock and made 20 by 4 p.m. So money can't be the aim anymore. What we have to do is focus on people and helping them. That's why I want you to hit subscribe, hit follow on your social media. Do it right now. While you're listening, you can open up another window. These phones are smart. Go do it right now. Hit the subscribe, hit the follow, go find her on IG and do all of that. Why? Because she's a person that's here to help. And by the way, I wear the same jersey. I'm on the same team. So you know Jay the Trader is here to help you too.
That was amazing, G. Jay the Trader, aka Jason Sweeting, aka just a phenomenal person. It's been a real pleasure having you on the podcast. Hey, ever want to come back? Your seat is warm. We saw other Zoom settings we can find ourselves in the next time we record this podcast. But anyway, as Jason said, please do so. Support the Everyday PM podcast. Support Jason as well. I'll make sure all the links to his social media, to his website, everything is there if you're interested in learning more about what he does, which I am. If you want to continue the conversation about anything we spoke about on this podcast, feel free to follow both of us on LinkedIn. Jason, I found you on there as well. So we're both available there as well. And I think he pumped the subscribing and all that good stuff already, but we're available on all of your podcasting platforms. So feel free to find us on your Spotify's and your Apple Podcasts, etc. On my YouTube channel as well, youtube.com/Ann Campea. Hit the subscribe button, notifications, like this video, give us a cool comment as well. All right. Jason, again, thank you for your time. It's been a pleasure introducing you to the Everyday PM audience. And until next time, everyone, take care.
Yeah, thanks.